What is up, guys? I'm XPHC Bandit. I'm here on behalf of the Geeks 189, who unfortunately can't be with us today. But the date is Tuesday the 29th of August, and I'm sure you guys by now know what that means. That means that GTA Online Smuggler's Run has now officially released. I've downloaded the update previously to this, so we're going to jump straight into it. So, pretty much, right off the bat, I'm noticing that down in the bottom there, we actually have a new adversary mode, it would appear. We're being told about Motor Wars adversary mode in the bottom corner there. I don't believe this was in the game previously. Of course, if I'm wrong and it was, then, you know, correct me below in the comments. But yeah, so of course, obviously, straight out of the loading screen, we can see that. It doesn't appear to be anything overly new on the loading screen so far, since all we've seen is about the Ardent and the XA21, and of course the Night Shark. But hopefully we're going to get to see something better. Maybe with regards to Smuggler's Run, I know that a lot of the the news screens during load up, and of course the event that appears on the PlayStation Network events page, they normally don't go up until towards the back end of the day that new content releases. So hopefully maybe there'll be something for us to be able to show you there. So we're just going to wait until we get into the game, and once we're in the game, we'll jump straight into Smuggler's Run and see what we've got. Now, to try and keep this as organic as possible for you guys, I'm just going to jump straight into the first public session that I get access to. Ordinarily, I would wait and I'd keep looking for sessions till I find an empty one. But to try and keep this a little bit more organic for you guys, and a little bit more normal, I'm just going to jump straight into the game with you guys, and we'll see what we've got. So already in the top left hand corner, we're being told that new Smuggler's Run vehicles are now available to purchase. I will also make some apologies now for the name tags appearing in the bottom corner. I won't be able to do anything about that because I don't currently have a way to blur that out. YouTube's features tend to be a little bit sketchy as well, so I'm going to leave that for now. But yeah, so of course we are being told there that we apparently have new vehicles. So let's have a look straight away. We'll jump straight onto the internet to have a look. So already straight off, we've already got a slightly different storefront here. I would assume that a lot of the new stuff is featured on these. So of course we get into there, we've got the Mobile Operations Centre at the top, and it does appear that we have a few new vehicles on Warstock. This is just on Warstock alone, and it appears that there's a lot more too. So starting off, we've got the Tula. Now we are finally getting a little bit more information about this. So as we can see straight off the bat, it is 3,890,000, which we were kind of expecting. We were expecting this to be a very expensive update, and it does appear as though it's going to prove to be that. Hopefully this update is going to also include a way to get that amount of money, because as you can obviously see there, we've got some pretty expensive ones. We've got between 3,890,000 and 5,173,700 on the Tula. The V65 Molotov is between 3,600,000 and 4,788,000. The Rogue, which I don't believe we've seen anything of yet, that appears to be a new vehicle. That is, as we can see there, between 1,200,000 and 1,596,000. So that, of course, is our cheapest war stock vehicle for now. Seats 2 people, and as expected, the Molotov seats 1 person, and the new vehicle that we've got over this side, which I don't believe we've seen yet, the LF22 Starling. So that, of course, is a new one there. We'll come back to that in a moment, as of course we can see the price there, 2,750,000 and 3,657,000. So I noticed that there are trade prices for all of these, so I assume that probably means that we have some form of we do actually have some form of weaponized aircraft missions, or potentially we have some kind of aircraft missions that will grant us these trade prices. Presumably that will run alongside whatever else has been added, which we'll obviously jump into in a moment. So, starting off with the Tula. Remember the kid who always had a multi-tool with him? Remember how popular he was and how often he got laid? Well, if he had survived high school, there's only one set of keys he would have in his fanny pack. The Tula is a quad-prop monster with VTOL and water landing capabilities, so it can take off vertically and land vertically, of course. It sounds like it can even do that on water, as well as being able to land normally on water. And of course it says space for turrets and a bomb bay, and the capacity for JATO upgrades. So I did mention what JATO was in the last video, but for anyone that missed it, JATO, it basically stands for Jet Assisted Takeoff. It pretty much means that there are upgrades to presumably make this aircraft take off a lot quicker. I would assume that since it's got quad prop on it for a start, I'm guessing it takes off fairly slowly vertically for a start, but presumably if you get those upgrades it's much faster, as it says, be prepared. So as it says there, this aircraft is excluded from Pegasus lifestyle management and must be stored in a personal hangar. So, unlike most of the aircraft we've seen on Warstock, this one physically cannot be stored using Pegasus. You have to have a hangar to put this one in. So, that's the Tula right there. I'm sure we'll get to have a bit more of a look at that later on. We did just get something in the top left hand corner there, but I'll go back to that in a second. So, the V65 Molotov, based off the MiG-15. So, we've got the description here. Say what you like about the Reds, but they knew a thing or two about brutalist military chick. The V65 Molotov has been reproduced in juntas and dictatorships right across the developing world. And that's not just because of its lethal efficiency or its complete indifference to the comfort and safety of the pilot. It's because when you look this merciless, the battle's won before you've even taken off. Once again, as we can see there, this aircraft also can't be stored by Pegasus. It has to be put in a personal hangar. So we didn't get a lot of information about it there. Presumably we'll find out more about the upgrades later on. Next, of course, we've got the Rogue. We didn't see this in the trailer or in any of the other different parts. In fact, no, I'm not sure. This may actually be the this looks like it could be the P-51 Mustang that we saw from the trailer, the Rustler from the previous games, unless that is on Elitas Travel. But yeah, so to the casual observer, the Rogue looks like a classic single prop training aircraft, and that's exactly what you want them to think, because with room for machine guns, missiles, anti-intercept countermeasures and full-size bomb bay, you'll be reducing those casual observers to puddles of speechless blood and piles of stupefied bones all day long. School's out. And again, cannot be put in the hangar. No, cannot be put in Pegasus, has to be in the hangar. So it sounds like there, of course, as that says, it's the aircraft, I presume it will have machine guns by default, will have countermeasures by default, and will have missiles by default, and it sounds like you can put bombs on it too. So, pretty nice aircraft there. And finally, another one of the new ones that we didn't see before, the Starling. So, one moment you're on the runway, slowly inching into position, wondering what all the fuss was about. The next, you're 200 feet in the air and rising, a shrieking human speck on the front end of a blazing rocket trail, making straight for the stratosphere. Why are you doing this? How do you get down? What happens if you start crapping out heavy munitions at this speed? Honestly, we're hoping you tell us. So, pretty much, it sounds like this is supposed to be an experimental aircraft. And again, has to be stored in the hangar. Can't be stored by Pegasus. Which it appears as though that's going to be the general consensus for most of the aircraft in this update. Not a lot there, but it sounds like this is actually a rocket-propelled aircraft. So I'm sure that's going to be a lot of fun to jump into when we actually get a chance. So, next we've got Elitas Travel. Only a few things on here, not much as we can see. But it appears as though we have the Havoc, which at first glance I thought this was sort of like a kind of like a Buzzard without weapons on it, but actually it does appear that this is a completely new aircraft. So, in the world of tactical air support, bigger is better, right? Wrong. Consider this the next time one of your legitimate business associates arranges to meet you in the bathroom of a crack den in Banning. They could swing open the stall door to find you hovering over the bowl in one of these beauties. Throw in a machine gun upgrade and you're going into these negotiations with a serious edge. And again, has to be stored in the hangar. But rather interesting on this one, it appears as though Elitas Travel is now actually stocking vehicles that can be weaponized, which hasn't happened in the past. Most of the weaponizable or weaponized vehicles have all been on war stock, so rather interesting on that one. And then, of course, as we expected, the cheapest aircraft from this update, we have the ultralight. So, what red-blooded American hasn't gazed at an eagle as it soars through an empty sky, utterly serene, perfectly at one with its environment, refined by millions of years of evolution into the epitome of aerial dexterity and lethal precision, and wondered what could be more majestic, more dignified, more transcendent. Well, now you know. So again, the microlight, the ultralight as it's called here, it actually is, of course, again has to be stored in the hangar, and it's just basically a really small glider. Now, in some of the information that we got, we did hear that this is weaponizable as well, so potentially an upgrade for a turret. So it appears as though all of the aircraft on Elitas Travel right now are all one-person vehicles. So if you want a vehicle with good personnel carrying capabilities, it sounds like you're going to want to go to Warstock for any of the new vehicles. And finally, the Alpha Z1. So, pretty basic information for this one by the looks of things. So, the Alpha Z1. Engine, 4-cylinder, fixed pitch. Wing area, 66 square feet. Cockpit size, matchbox. Cabin temperature, hotter than Satan's tent. Chances of survival if you hit anything more than a light crosswind, none whatsoever. Top speed, routinely fatal. Customer satisfaction, are you still here? Did you read the part about the top speed? So, not a lot of information about that one there, presumably we'll find out more when we get upgrading it. And it appears that, once again, can't be stored using Pegasus, has to be put in your hangar. So, we've been mentioning a lot about the hangars. Now, we haven't got a lot of information about them. Presumably, that may be what we were just told in that info dialogue there. So, in order to purchase, as we've been seeing there, in order to purchase this vehicle, you must own a hangar and complete 21 aerial freight missions and all that sort of thing, as we can see there. So there's not a lot else right now for that. So let's try and see if we can find the hangars. So as we've just got a message from Ron there, it says those hangars are still available on the Foreclosures website, just like in case you wanted to get one. So evidently that's where we find the hangars on the Mazebank Foreclosures website. Now the Mazebank Foreclosures website, I feel, is perhaps getting a little bit overpopulated now, but wow, not quite what I expected. So it was a little bit expected, since obviously these are only two major airfields in the game, but have a look at this. So we have just two hangars at LSIA, and it appears they are fairly cheap. Doesn't look like there's much difference between them, just a few little extras, I presume, in the locations. But rather surprisingly, it does appear that we do have 3 hangars at Fort Zancudo this time round. Rather surprising, to be honest. I wasn't expecting to see hangars there, even though it is an airbase. I wasn't expecting us to have hangars there. Surely, if we've got hangars there, that perhaps means that Merryweather aren't entirely the bad guys in this update, because surely we wouldn't be able to live in their base if that was the case. But it looks like the ones in Fort Zancudo are rather expensive, so they'll have to be left for now. But for now, we're going to jump straight in and we're going to buy the LSIA Hangar A17, which is the cheapest at 1,200,000. So it looks like, as we expected, we've got a lot of customization options. So as we can see, we've got a lot of different colour tones for these hangars as well. Quite a few rather exciting ones here. And it appears they do vary in price. So I'm just going to leave this at the standard one for now, with this sort of red tint. Now lighting, it looks like we've got a few options here. We've got a couple of options. We have normal lighting, and it appears we have sort of blue lighting as well. So it appears that's an expensive feature, but I'm gonna leave it on just because it's, of course, not a huge cost. So it appears that the hangar actually has a few different graphics for the floor as well, which is rather interesting. It appears as though we can actually have different designs. So we've got this one here, it's rather standard, quite bland design, and then we've got this one here that's just a square. We've got of course, obviously a star design here. We've got this sort of almost like a globe design in the middle on a patch. Got compass designs there, and then sort of a circle of stars around it for that design. Looks like we've actually got one of the targets from the from some of the other game modes as well on there, and of course we have we actually have sort of like parking bays, and it appears that we actually have another different style there as well. So I'm just going to leave it with the standard one for now, so that we don't spend too much of our very precious money. And it looks like there is an office in this place too, of course, to conduct all of our wonderful new stuff from. So, office furniture, it appears that we have standard, which is quite bland, traditional, which is sort of an older style, and modern, which all look quite nice. So I'm going to leave that on the standard one again. It does look like we can have living quarters in this place. Rather exciting that we can actually get some living quarters in here. And a couple of design ideas again for those. We've got the traditional one, which is sort of an older style, and then we've got the modern one over there. So it actually adds more than 100 grand to that, so I'm going to leave it on the traditional design for now. Finally, we have our workshop, which is add facilities to work on your aircraft. I presume we are going to want that in there. I'm going to want the living quarters so that I can spawn there, but the aircraft workshop, of course, is a must for playing within this update, of course. So I'm going to actually take off that for now. In fact, no, let's leave it on. Let's see what this ends up looking like. So now that we've got all that, looks like our total cost is going to be 2,635,000, which of course is rather expensive, but we're going to have to leave that there. So I've not got a lot of money left now. Hopefully I'll have enough to just do a little bit of work. Now, hopefully we are going to see in here that we can set our spawn location to it. Let's see if our spawn location has changed. So, do we have anything on here? It doesn't actually appear that we can right now, although I presume it may actually be left that we can spawn there once we've visited it. So I'm going to just go and pick up my X80, and we're going to go over to our new hangar that we've just purchased to have a look and see what it's like. So if we just exit to the ground, in fact no, I meant to go into my garage, but not to worry, I can of course spawn that outside. So guys, I know this is quite a long video, probably quite drawn out, but I'm just trying to discover a lot of features for you guys, so that you guys can get a little bit of a look at this. Now I did just notice in the vehicles menu there, we can now request personal aircraft as well, so we can get aircraft brought to our location. Of course, we still have the ability to get obviously our special vehicles there, our aircraft trailer, and a few of the different things there. Now, as you can see there, we can actually control who can use our bomb bay and who can use our countermeasures. So it appears we can set this to pilot, we can have co-pilot. Pretty much appears as though we can select who can use them. So we'll just check in the vehicle menu again just to see whether or not our remote options have any of the different things on them. Doesn't appear so, but we're going to of course leave that like that for now. So as it says there, we've just unlocked the black Rockstar camo and the white Rockstar camo tees. Those appear to have been put in for us right there. So we're just going to get ourselves over to our hangar over there.
We're in business, baby. Wait, who's that? Someone's here. Get over here quick. Get to the hangar. I need to show you some things.
So it would appear that Ron, of course, in his usual character, seems to be incredibly nervous right now. Not entirely sure what he's nervous of, but it sounds like there is someone there. So as it says there, your hangar has storage for a vast selection of personal aircraft purchasable from Ilitas Travel and Warstock. Pegasus aircraft can be called in and taken to the hangar to store them there. So guys, rather interesting there. It appears that we can take any of our aircraft to our hangar now, rather interestingly, and rather excitingly as well. So we can actually take any of our aircraft into our hangars. So that's obviously going to be useful for you guys, since I'm sure you guys have probably got a lot of different aircraft lying around. So got that nice little feature for you guys there. When we get to the hangar, I'll quickly show you guys what's going on. So guys, I'm afraid that unfortunately today, of course, none of the Geeks 189 Rebels join us. They appear to all be busy today, unfortunately. We were hoping, we were all hoping, of course, that we could have all been on to play this, but unfortunately I've had to do a solo video. Now hopefully we are going to do a like another video later on, maybe later on today, that will feature, of course, these that will feature the rest of the Geeks 189 hopefully. So if we just get over to our hangar and have a look to see what we get. So it appears as though this is actually an old sort of retired Pegasus hangar. So perhaps we've got an opportunity here to just drive into it. We can't enter the hangar in our vehicles, so we'll have to leave them at the door. So let's go into our hangar.